Keels from Living Hope Cancer Foundation. I just wanted to say a quick hi as I'm smacking my tripod. I have not been on for quite a while because we've been away, and I just want to point out our beautiful palm trees and my hubby's surfboard behind us. We are in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's like 70 something today, going up to 84, I think. So I am totally enjoying this weather and tanning my newly shaved head again. So we were just on our inspiration tour, visiting family and friends and getting to share our lives with people. For the last 2 weeks, we got home this past Tuesday, I think. Wednesday, Monday, I don't even remember anymore. This week's gone crazy. I think it was Monday. So we had an awesome trip in the snow. Went to Ohio, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. So Ohio is where Chuck's from, so we spent time with his family, went up to where he was born and somewhat raised, and we had some amazing speaking opportunities there, that was just so special, getting to meet a lot of the people that were so meaningful to him. And then getting to, I've been interacting with so many people on Facebook and Instagram, and then actually getting to meet them in person was so cool. That was just so special. And it was really special because it's probably been our first time public speaking for a couple months. So we really actually enjoyed that, because there's something so powerful about sharing your God story with people out loud. It is like really humbling, and at the same time recognizing when you say those words out loud how empowering it is, because God has given me such an amazing story. I can't shut up about it. I want to testify. So we've really been enjoying that process, and we got to speak a little bit in Pennsylvania and also in North Carolina. And actually we're going to Florida in a week and a half. So we're really excited about possible opportunities there. So if you're in Florida and in the Orlando or Tampa area, we are available from pretty much March 18th through the 28th. So that's something we are starting to book up a little bit. We do need to create a little space in there because we're also working on our third book, and I'm like, I've got to have a day or two where we're sitting maybe on the beach or something where I can write. I have trouble writing at home. Get really distracted by house stuff, even though I'm not even doing a lot of house chores right now. Chuck is. That's another story. So that would be a really cool opportunity if anybody knows. It is something that we really feel like God's calling us to, is to share our inspirational story, which is all God inspired and super cool. And whether you have cancer or not, it is something that either will build your faith or show you where to find it. So that's kind of our goal in life, whether we're cancer coaching or inspiring people to get up and live. So I am just started my 10th month of chemo this past Wednesday. And while we were on our trip, I was diagnosed with a sacral fracture, which is the lower part of your spine, that flat part on your hip. Had an up and down fracture. Got diagnosed mid-December. Was really healing well from that right before we left, and literally the day after we left, I woke up. We slept on a marshmallowy mattress at a hotel, and I was in so much pain, and it just got worse and worse and worse. It was in my left hip, and in December I knew that I had 3 active lesions in my pelvis. It's the only cancer in my body. After having a lot of spread last year, all of that was gone, but those are the 3 spots. So one of them actually fractured, which is why I was kind of off housework and all that for a while. I was finally getting back to emptying the dishwasher and doing laundry and stuff. And then when we were on our trip, I just ooh, something not right. So it just got progressively worse, and I couldn't walk long distances. So I ended up having to do a lot of wheelchair. So we had a lot of flights. So we did 5 one-way kind of flights to all the places we need to go. So I ended up using a wheelchair. But even in that, if you know any part of my story, I don't like wheelchairs. It makes me feel like a patient, which I don't want to be, right? Like, who does? So it's kind of cool because even through all of that, like, feel like I'm eating humble pie. I gotta sit in a wheelchair and get driven around, and God uses all of that too. Like, brings people. I've posted that video of this man praying over me, and I'm waiting for my wheelchair. We've got another couple praying for me, and it's just a really cool situation. Sometimes the vehicle that God uses to meet people and have people bless you isn't always the way you want it to happen, but to be open to that, so those are really beautiful lessons I got to learn. And then last weekend we ended up being in North Carolina and got to spend time with my parents, and I know everybody was like, you guys gotta rest, you have to rest, and everybody's all worried about me because if you're in active treatment and you see somebody like me running around all over America during COVID, I can see how you might be concerned, and that's good. I'm really glad I have friends that love me. But I am really big about self-care, and I've got a husband that carries everything for me. Doesn't let me lift a finger. And I ended up literally resting at my mom's from Friday to Tuesday when we left. We had one speaking event Monday afternoon. And since I got home, I've been doing work on my computer, but I literally rest. Like, I can't even bend over right now. So it's not even about resting as much as not using my body. So I ended up going to the doctor Wednesday just for chemo, and he was like, I think we need to discuss radiation on that spot. And so, I was like, okay, I'm willing to talk about it because I can't live with this pain and I need to go to Florida. So I did go see the radiation oncologist yesterday, and I feel really good about the decision. Prayed about it. Even my tech was a Christian, and just the way she framed it and phrased things and just encouraged me. I'm like really confident that this is the route I need to take, even though I had a really bad experience with radiation last summer when I had my node on my chest radiated. I'm still struggling with some swallowing issues from it. We don't live in a perfect world, and I'm also in a situation where I just need to keep moving forward and living in pain is not one of them. So I have decided I'm just going to do a one and done treatment on both 2 lesions on my hips on Wednesday. And we leave the following Wednesday, so it gives me a week to navigate any symptoms I may have. And so I am happy about that. I have my next treatment of chemo on Tuesday, and a bazillion Zoom meetings in between all of that. So, life just keeps going, and I don't know, God just keeps giving me a big happy smile on my face, through it all. I don't find my joy and comfort from my physical body anymore. I've learned that. I've probably been in pain since last summer, in a sense, between having neck surgery and a feeding tube in, and then a little brief moment maybe I didn't, and then the beginning of October I started having lower back pain. So I think God's just kind of teaching me how to live with pain, how to navigate it when I need to take ibuprofen when I can. And honestly, one of my best friends is, besides Chuck and Jax, is actually my heating pad. I found a really good heating pad on Amazon that I love. I sit on it almost all day long at home, except for right now. And the heat just provides so much relaxation for that area of my back that's sore. I can kind of wrap it around my hips, and seems to do the job. I take it with me to chemo. I take it with me anywhere I can actually plug it in. So it is ways I just learn how to navigate my life, and it's my new normal, and it's not everybody's new normal, but it is. I want to keep going. I'm not going to stop life just because of it. I have cancer. And big thing is self-care. Twice so far this week I finally have a bathtub, so I do a lot of what can I do to take care of myself, and detoxing is a big one. So I've been doing Epsom salt baths, and I stick some lavender oil in there, essential oil from doTERRA, and light a candle and listen to worship music or text people and read the Bible. And so there's a lot of really cool parts of my life that I think that's what I love about what we do, even though we're super busy, cancer coaching and feel like we've always got something, somebody to talk to. There is also this, it gives me space to be able to take care of my body where I need to, and I fit that in. So I just want y'all to not be concerned about me too much. So I'm very much about self-care. I just want to say a big shout out, thank you to my hubby, Chuck, who is my rock besides Jesus. He's been so incredible. I know this is a part of his, we talk a lot about caregivers too, and he's been a cancer patient, and now he's a caregiver, and a lot of times it's really hard for him because he's watching me go through this stuff, and he's either experienced himself or like just wants to experience it for me, and it's really hard for him to watch somebody going through pain and not being able to do it themselves. Like, you have that with your own kids sometimes. You're like, I'd rather do the pain for them than have them experience it. God uses that too, and so he's using it to shape me, and he's using it to shape Chuck the way has to watch me. So it's been really neat. We talk about it a lot. Every morning as much as we can, we sit and read, and we love the Bible app, so we do like the story for the day and read it and really talk and pray together, and it's been a real good time for us to talk a lot about our feelings and like how we think about everything. And I think that's such a big part of it is he hurts for me, and he's always trying to fix things. He's a fixer, and there aren't some things he just can't fix, and so the only thing he can do is go to God with it. And so I think that's been, he says he's been in the God school for 5 years since he had his transformation with, God healing him, Jesus touching him and healing him from cancer, and it changed his whole life. And I mean, that's really what life is. We're in God school, and if we pay attention to that and listen to him and learn, we're always learning and being transformed. And so this is part of his, like, he's learning to be patient. He's actually learning to say no to self and serve me. Like, I literally drop everything. Apparently I didn't know I was so dropsy till I can't pick things up. Like the soap in the bathroom and the tissues on the floor. I mean, this morning he like grabs a bunch of stuff. He's like, don't ever become a basketball player because you aren't very good at it, because I keep missing the trash. It's pretty funny. So, it's little stuff. Like I take my socks off at night, and then I'm like, oh, I can't reach bend over to pick them up to throw them in the laundry. So it's a lot of self-giving for him, and he's emptying the dishwasher. And thankfully we got married midlife, so he already came with all these awesome skills. Bachelorhood teaches you all of this stuff, and fatherhood, which he was. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing to just recognize that too. All of his past story also serves me in my life, and that's amazing because he's been through chemo, so he isn't just guessing how I'm feeling. He knows how I'm feeling, and just always wants to care for me. So I just want to say a public thank you to my wonderful husband. I love you, and I love working with you every single day. I love doing life with you. We say that almost every day to each other, even though it's the craziest, right? Because 4 months into our wedding, our marriage, my neck broke, and then within 8 months I had a feeding tube and another fracture. So it's not been the easiest honeymoon for him, and yet it's been amazing because we have just learned to love each other in the hard stuff. And when you can do that, it's easy to love each other in the good stuff. So and that's truly just the work of God in our lives. So I think that's all I had all these thoughts I wanted to share, but this was a big one. I want to say a big thank you to everybody for praying for me. One of the really beautiful parts, and I wrote in my book is called Faith Like Skin, which I'm representing my tank, which we actually do have on our Living Hope store, but it's not this one. This was a trial one, which I didn't end up putting on there. But I do mention on there, which is a really cool thing. So I got to see my friend who prophesied to me, and she heard this from God, and she was like, I don't think I've ever heard, at this point, she didn't think she'd ever heard God tell her to tell somebody else something before. And so this is back in 2016. She I don't remember if she texted or called me. And I probably should ask you that, Ellie. But she had told me, and I only like remembered two things. And one of them was I was going to write a book, and the other was I was going to speak on stage. And when I got to see her last week in person, she was like, no, there was more to it. And I just didn't, remember all those details. And the first part was that God would heal me through the faithful prayers of his people, them believing in faith that I would be healed, which is amazing. Like, I didn't even understand what that meant back then. I was stage 3. I don't even think I was stage 4 then. And then I was already, like, at that point, I just thought I was going to write my book. So I was like, okay, got that one. And then speaking on stages, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And the deeper part of that was even that I would be traveling the country speaking on stage, which just happened. I was like, what? That is just amazing. And I didn't grow up like in a church that kind of really believed maybe the prophetic. Definitely wasn't a Holy Spirit filled church. And so that's something God's been really teaching me to understand more. And so to me, it's just like this kind of stuff blows my mind, and I love it. And I love living in that reality that God is alive and constantly in every moment, in every detail. It's something I posted about earlier. Like, I'm learning to pay attention to every moment. In my book, I call it God winks, but it's like God seconds now, if you really think about it, And so just living in that reality and paying attention to him in everything, even how the wind is blowing in the palm trees is a gift from him, and these beautiful birds flying by, and the sunshine, or the sparkle of the snow, or a smile of a baby, a giggle. It's in all of those moments. It's in who he puts around you all the time. It's how people minister to you. And I know we often look at all the negatives, and that's sin in the world, and then to realize there's all these beautiful moments too. And those are all gifts from God, and to pay attention to that. So it is something he's been teaching me. And I think that's where I'm like, when I start opening my eyes to all of that, I recognize that's his goodness in all of, even when there's hard stuff, there's such beautiful goodness in all of that. And that's God, his little gifts, his little winks. And we can just like blindly go through life and just work and, nose to the ground, or we can keep our eyes up and recognize there's this much greater purpose in what he's calling us to, And I think that's where I'm learning to be, even when I don't know what, next week or next month looks like. And in reality, nobody does. I think it's become something people recognize more through COVID, that you don't know what tomorrow brings, right? And we have this like fake thought that we have this like, oh yeah, next week I'm going to here and I'm doing that. And our entire lives have been turned upside down. And that's very similar to experience with cancer or any hard disease or death or whatever, any hard thing we experience. There's such a parallel to that, and to recognize that we don't orchestrate our lives, God does, and to be able to surrender to that. And that's something he's really been teaching me to do. And I find so much joy and peace in that, because then it's not me doing all of these things, it's him orchestrating it and letting him do it, and just keep saying yes to what he's calling me to do, and learning to hear him and all of that. There's so much more, but I just want to say hi. I wanted to update everybody on here, just where I'm at with my cancer journey, and we'll keep y'all updated. Thank you. Have a good day.